Hello, and welcome to the first installment of this excuse me, Excel tutorial. As promised, this will be an ongoing series. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, the main point of this video is learn some basics of Excel and also some useful accounting um, functions and tools that you should know if you're ever going to be interviewing for an accounting job or something like that. Then you would want to know this stuff. Today we're just going to cover the basics. Um, in a future video, we'll cover VLOOKUP. That's one of them. And pivot tables. Okay, so right now my test computer is Windows 10. Okay, so it's Windows 10, and you can make an Microsoft account. Microsoft will give you the Office 365, they call it, because it's all around. You know, does that sound familiar with these artists? 365. Okay. Anyways, so once you make your Microsoft account, basically it's Outlook, OneDrive, stuff like that. Um, you will basically get Office for free if you have a legal version of Windows 10. Okay, once you do that, you'll click the Windows button. It'll install, kind of, and then you will have a tile right here. This looks exactly like the Windows Phone. I don't know if anybody's ever had that, but a tile will show up. Okay, basically you just have to make like an Outlook account, if I remember correctly. Anyways, once you click that tile, this will show up. Okay, there will be Outlook, of course. That's the mail. Email. OneDrive. That's the cloud. Okay, that's the covet of this whole thing. Okay. Uh, Word. That's typing. If you ever type the paper. Excel. That's the main point of this video. That's for, you know, statistics. Regression analysis, Mancova, finance, stuff like that. Um, there's also PowerPoint. PowerPoint is used for presentations. OneNote, you can make flyers on there. Very useful program. Skype, messaging, and then they have some other stuff. You know, you can take a look at all the apps. You can play around with this stuff, but you get it for free if you have a legal version of Windows 10 and you make a Microsoft account. Okay, so for today's video, we're just going to cover some basics of Excel, basics of Excel, and then we'll move on to some useful accounting functions. Okay, so once you click on that tile, this will show up. They use this is like the App Store, okay, or an app um, setting type of environment. Click on Excel. This will show up. Okay, you can start a new blank workbook, which is starting from scratch. So if you're like, you can think of a painter, they have a blank canvas and start a new workbook and you can do whatever you like. Okay, if you know what you're doing. You can also take a tour. They'll teach you some basics of Excel. They'll teach you some complicated stuff. That's all fine and dandy. They have templates. They have simple service invoice. Excuse me. That's a useful one. The one I'm going to be using is the inventory one. They have daily schedule. They have lots and lots of templates. Okay. So you can see all these templates, and you can also download more templates, explore all the templates, play around with the stuff. That's the only way to learn. Okay, is to play around. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this or minimize it. And here is my inventory list. I just um, modified it a little bit. You'll see in a future video about the VLOOKUP and the pivot tables and stuff like that. Okay. Right now, I just want to cover the basics. Okay. This is Excel. This is what it looks like. You have all these tabs here. Have file, home, insert, formulas, data, review, view, help, and much like accountant, it's an umbrella. Once you click on a tab, then you get more options. Okay. But you start with the tab. First, you open up the program, then you select a new workbook or a template and stuff like that. It's a progression, right? Steps, an umbrella, an umbrella. They create the stuff like a pyramid, if you will. You start at the top and then you go to the bottom. Okay? So, the first thing I want to cover is file. Okay? File, you have, once you click file, this will open up. Okay? On your desktop version, it may look a little bit different. Okay? But this is, on the internet, on the cloud, if you will. But it'll look something similar. Okay? You have info that will tell you the info about the document and stuff like that, and date and stuff like that. You can open up a new workbook, open an existing one. You can save as. Usually there's a save button here on your desktop version. It's not in this one. The one I want to talk about is print. Okay, I'm just gonna cover some, basic stuff that I think is important. When you print, click print. There's a print preview, of course, after you click this print button. If you have a large workbook, and I'm sorry about the background noise, if you have a large worksheet or workbook, okay, and I'm talking about widths, okay, widths, you want to select landscape, okay, that way you will get it to print correctly. Okay, you'll get it to print correctly. And then once you click print, it will give you a print preview, and then you can make sure that it prints how you want it. Okay, you can print the active worksheet, which is the worksheet that you're working on right now. As you can see by this tile right here, it's all white, and it has only one little tick or misshaped cell at the bottom that represents the worksheet, kind of like down here. You can print the entire workbook, similar to the active sheet, but it has two tick marks down here, and they're colored. That means multiple worksheets. Or current selection, you can print a cell if you want. You can print two cells. You can print a column. That's represented here. It's these two blue things, or two blue cells are highlighted to represent that, to mean that you are selecting something inside the workbook or the worksheet. Okay, but use landscape mode if you have, a large worksheet. Okay, portrait mode is skinny. That's a model. Landscape mode is like one of those fat Walmart workers. You can fit more stuff in there, and it'll print out that way. And then, of course, that doesn't work. You can always use, if you have a capable printer, you can change the paper on that and stuff like that. And yeah, there's workarounds. Okay, just use your mind, play around. There's the home tab, and it drops down. You have many different options. This is called a ribbon, I believe, in Excel. Naming conventions. What are you gonna do? Okay, so you have paste. You can copy stuff from the internet and just paste it on here, or copy it from Word and paste it on here. And when you click paste, if you click, they have these arrows. So if you click on the arrows, they'll have different options, as you can see here. Okay. Then you have font. Okay, this is very similar to Word. You guys should be familiar with this. You can change the font text, the font size, all this stuff. Okay, and then you can also colorize cells. So this bucket right here is like paint, if you ever use paint, and you can have a preview, right? If you just not click on it but just hover over it, it'll change the color automatically so you can see what you want to do before you do it. This one changes the font color. Okay, so just some basic stuff. You guys should be familiar with that. Anyways, alignment. That's how you want to position the text within a cell. Okay, and we'll get into cells and all that stuff in just a few minutes. Okay, alignment, text direction. Sorry, I'm getting kind of sick right now. The dent. Okay, indent. Then you have this number. This is formatting. So notice in my inventory list I have some words, I have some numbers. So if I want to change this number to maybe was that the dollar sign, I can do that. If I want to change it to counting or something else, I can do that. That's numbers. And then I can increase or decrease the decimals. That's for helpful. Put commas in there if I want to. If I don't want to, then just click on this and it'll go away. Tables, that's for tables. Play around with this stuff. Insert, delete, format. Pretty basic stuff, okay? Then you have auto sum. Auto sum is helpful. So if you have like a column like this and you don't want to type in a function, let me delete this. And you don't want to type in a function, you can just click on auto sum and okay, sorry, you'll have to select what you want to auto sum. Okay, so select what you want to auto sum, and there are shortcuts for this, and just click on auto sum and it'll automatically do it for you. Okay, we'll get into functions in maybe another video. Okay, right now I'm just covering the basics. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this again. You have your sort and filter. Okay, when you sort in and filter in, you have to select something to sort and filter, right? Find and select. That's basically like Word, you know. You can also press Central F, I believe, and you can find and select whatever you want, just like Word. The Insert tab, you have functions. Okay, click on functions, you'll see all the different functions. If you don't know them, right? So let me click on that again. Right now it's uncommonly used. You know, most people don't use a lot of functions. Maybe you stick to 3 to 5 or something like that. But you have functions for all type of stuff. Engineering, information. Wow, this is a great program, ain't it? Okay. Cancel that. You can insert tables if you want to. Pivot table. That's a useful one. We're going to be covering that in a future video, not this video. You can insert pictures. Okay? Click on picture. If you have it on your computer, insert it. Shapes. You can insert shapes if you're really meticulous and stuff like that. There was this one guy who used to be a freelancer for a company that I used to work for, and he used to do this all the time. They used to pay him like $20,000 a month or something like that, some ridiculous amount. I was like, man, I can do this, but you know, politics. Anyways, office add-ins. You can add in some additional stuff. Okay, as needed. You'll find this. You'll find the need for it at some point. Okay. Right here you have all your charts. You can insert bar charts, pies, scatter graphs, um, histograms. This is good for statistics, or if you're just presenting information. And you can also copy a chart from Excel and paste it on a PowerPoint. These programs are all integrated. Okay, you can insert hyperlinks. That's this right here. So if you're sending like a workbook to somebody and there's a link, you don't want to insert all this information into the workbook, you can insert a hyperlink just like you would in Word or sorry, a PowerPoint. Okay, so very useful program. For the charts, you do have to have some type of data. Okay, so as in this case, we have some type of data. We can make a chart for this. Play around with this stuff. Play around with it. It's the only way to learn. Okay. Formulas. You can insert your own formula if you want. Calculations. They have a calculator on here. Play around with this stuff. Then you have the data tab, and then you have many options. The one I use is filter. Okay. So for a filter, you have to have some column headings. Okay. As in this case. This is already pre-made, but you can insert your own column headings. You can call them whatever you want. Whatever you want. Okay. But after you do your column headings, you just click on filter. Okay. Right now, this is how it looks like without the filter. This is how it looks like with the filter. As you notice, we have some arrows here. And then you can basically filter this. Okay, if you just want to see inventory ID, you can do that. If you just want to see name, you can do that. If you just want to see description, you can do that. Okay, sort. Always sort your data. Okay, or not. If you don't want to sort your data, it just depends on what type of data you have and what your goal is. Always have a goal in mind. Okay. Always have a goal in mind. There are other things here. You can play around with this stuff. I'm just going to cover the basics, what I use. Okay. Review, spelling, common stuff. You can also put comments in here if you're sending this to somebody else or something like that. Maybe helpful comments, or if you're an adjunct instructor and you're sending back something to a student, you can put comments in here, send it back to them and tell them that they are a retard. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that. All right, the view. What did I use from view? I use this freeze panes. Okay, freeze the pane. Okay, go down to the liquor store, get you some alcohol, and freeze the pane. That's a joke, okay? Don't do that. Anyways, freeze the pane. It can freeze rows or columns, and we'll get into rows and columns later. But you can freeze the top row, and then if you notice, if you scroll down, the inventory list stays on there. Okay. And then if you don't want to freeze it anymore, you can just unfreeze the pane. You can also freeze columns. Okay, so columns are on the vertical, rows are horizontal. So if you notice, if I scroll to the left, this column stays visible. Okay, that's helpful if you have like customer names or something like that, and you want to see them all the time, and cross-reference, cross-check. Okay, then you can unfreeze it. No harm, no foul. Or press Ctrl Z on your keyboard. That's a shortcut, one of my favorites, and that's basically it. Okay, as far as these tiles, so let's go back to the Home tab, and we will now conclude this video. So in the next video, I will be covering VLOOKUP. So stay tuned for that. It'll be dropping probably in about an hour or two. So please make a subscribe and hit that like button and turn on your notifications if you like this video. If you don't, then put yourself in one of these cells and delete yourself. Okay. That's also another useful thing. Sorry. I lied. We don't want to conclude this video quite yet. Okay. Some other things, some other basic things. Here we have this box here. Okay. Underneath the ribbon and the tabs. Sorry, I have a cold. But anyways, this tells you what cell you're on. So Excel, if you don't know, now you know. It works like a chessboard. Okay, if you ever play chess, it goes by an intersection. Okay, or maybe another analogy is an intersection, an actual intersection. Okay, and then two cars crash into each other, kind of like that. Okay, so you have columns, you have rows. Okay, this tells you what cell you're on. So I'm on column C right now, and if I go down, I'm on row 6. That's my intersection. The second box is the function. Okay, so you can click on this and it'll bring up the same thing that I just showed you a few minutes ago. Commonly used, that's what it's on right now. But you can look up any other functions in Excel, depending on your needs, right? So it tells me what cell I'm on. Now, when I just click the cell one time, if I type anything, it'll delete what's there before, and it'll take what I type newly, okay? Also, right here you have a text box, okay? So you can click on the cell and just go up here and type whatever you want, right? So that's another way of doing it, okay? Other things, formatting. So to select something in Excel, you can click on one cell and just drag, and you can select multiple cells, or you can stay on that one cell. You can also do the same for the rows. You can do the same for columns. As far as formatting, I usually go up here and then I do auto fit column widths. That will make it so whatever is inside each cell will auto fit to that cell. Okay, so for example, if I have big words in this cell and I select this column and I go auto fit column widths, it automatically adjusts it to the biggest thing in the cell, and then for the entire column. You can also do it for rows, I believe. Okay, auto fit row height. There are other ways. You can also right click on a column and you can do column widths, right? You can right click on a row and do row height. You can click multiple rows and do the same thing, row height. And then you can do it manually if you're very meticulous. But I usually just do the auto fit, and it seems to work, you know. There's also hide, unhide, so you can hide rows, you can hide a sheet, you can hide columns, okay. Other things, to create a new sheet, you just click this plus sign and you'll create a new sheet. You can also double click on this and you can rename a sheet. If you double click on the sheet name, and then you can just type a new sheet, or a new name for it. Okay. You can also move stuff around, so I can move this over here, I can move it over here, I can move it over here. I can also right click on it, and I can, let me see here, delete, insert, whatever you want to do, right? Whatever you want to do. I can hide it, again, reorder, rename, insert. There's multiple ways to go about doing this stuff, okay? Multiple ways to go about doing this stuff. If you have multiple like workbooks, you can also take one sheet from one workbook and insert it into another workbook, and I will show you that in a future video. Anyways, I think this is all I want to cover, so hopefully this video was helpful for you, and see you next time. Like, subscribe, peace.